Hello everyone. This is Saomi, and welcome to the Casual 192, a semi-relaxed podcast about discussing cards from a casual and cube viewpoint. Since this is going to be the first one, I'm going to do a bit of initialization. Each week well, not week, but each time I do this, I plan on discussing two things about each card, at least. One will be any potential homes in its current state, either for a casual deck or for a cube environment, as well as any potential changes for a cube that you can make to adjust the card to be better suited for any potential cubes, current or future. As well as when I'm discussing these two, there's a decent chance I'll be hopping between one and the other because eh, order is unneeded. Also, the main purpose of this podcast is to brainstorm about the cards, not to belittle. Well, yeah, I have opinions and or speculations. With me being a filthy casual and the cube enthusiast I am, I'd be surprised if anything I say is 100% correct, and I'd be more likely to have anything I say be 100% wrong. Analyzing cards is hard, we all know this. Also, making fun of cards because card bad is rude. Let's not do that. Have reasons to belittle cards. Anyhow, I don't plan on doing this too many takes. Oh, this is the first one. I've already done my fair share of takes by now. Partially because I keep saying cards bad. Let's not do that. But yeah, anyhow, with the script to help prevent me stumbling, which it did not help much, but hey, little to little. And that's for the cards. Again, I plan on covering a few cards, and this week I decided to do the Chosen cards because, for one thing, they're funny, and uh, a funny start, I guess. And for another thing, I don't know, they're just nice cards. They have a bit of a reputation. They're a bit infamous for being the bot week, but they're really good cards, so it's like, what happened? Who knows? Anyhow, with that, I'm rambling, and why do I justify why the cards aren't bad? I know the cards are bad. Anyhow, Beaming Chosen. Alright, start with Beaming Chosen, a 5 mana neutral 6/3 with that's a human horror with from Talira. Sorry, I keep jumping the gun. Anyhow, it has leap and entomb. The next time an ally unit dies, return it to play. Alright, I guess I'll start with current homes. This could be interesting in like a general entomb like sack deck as a lot of these cards fill. It's a bit expensive, so combo to potential in like faster cubes is limited, though in slower cubes you might be able to get something funny off with this. There's almost bound to be some form of loops that you trigger Rule of 13 doing this, though they're probably going to be very convoluted. But yeah, there's definitely potential. Oh, I just realized that head leap. I don't know how I just realized that. That makes it kind of interesting as an anti-A2, well, only 3 HP. That's gonna be. I don't know. I could swat something out of there. Okay, no, that's actually kind of relevant and cool. Anyhow, yeah, potential changes you can make to the card. Obviously, if you want your cube to be a bit more higher power level and a bit more combo-y, reducing this card's cost and obviously stats at the same time is an idea. I don't know if I. It does take away from the original card design though a lot. It's an option. It's definitely an option. But yeah, as is. Honestly, okay. Outside of combo environments, it's a neat ability. If you have ways to trigger the Entomb, it's just kind of this little safety net on your team. I don't know what deck you'd play it in outside of combo though. Apart from obviously the Entomb sack deck that like all these cards support. But yeah, it's just a neat card. I'm not entirely sure. It was just a neat card though. Yeah. Anyhow, Beam Chosen, everyone. It's a good card that I'm still not sure what to do with outside of combo potential, in which case there is plenty. Anyhow, Earthen Chosen, this beautiful lad, a card I've been forgetting to update, and funnily enough, works kind of well with the Immortal Cat. Immortal Cat aside, 4 mana 2/7, Human Ooze from Talira. With at the start of each turn, it loses 3 HP, and whenever a unit dies, it gains HP equal to its cost. So yeah, first thing to note is that it doesn't gain HP from any zero cost units, which is probably a good thing, but it's fine, it's fine. But yeah, this is definitely going to be really interesting in any cube where you either have a bunch of non-zero cost tokens, a cube where a bunch of creatures or units duplicate themselves anything that's vastly aggressive and but you don't want it to be like absurdly dominant. Yeah, this is honestly a kind of neat cube. It's probably a decent aggro tool. I'd assume so. The start of turn trigger I don't think is too big. It does work really well with equipment, as getting more attack on something this lopsided on stats will always be helpful. No, I assume almost always. It is susceptible to hard removal, especially premium hard removal. I know dice removal, the classic joke, but yeah, if your cube has a lot of premium removal, this might not be too happy, but it'll be fine, I still think. And then, of course, there's the cat combo potential where. Oh, wait, no, no, right. Okay, potential changes. If you change cost to base cost, if you have like loops that involve setting a card's cost to zero, it enables this to work with them. I don't know if that's like a super relevant thing you can do, but it's certainly funny and an option. Any other changes? Honestly, the card as this is kind of neat. It's just this 4-drop wall. Obviously, you could reduce the cost if you want it to become even more anti-aggro. Obviously, change stats at the same time. You could potentially remove the top ability if you really need to pump up the power and don't want to change the stats, but you probably don't need to. I don't know. It's just a nice card. It does things. It does things well. It's this nice little wall. Oh yeah. AOE's. This thing is really good against AOE's, as especially in a cube that's like, if you have a cube that has a bunch of small tokens and basically all the removal, or a good chunk of the removal is damage based, especially a couple with AOE damage based. This is probably gonna thrive in one of those cubes. At the same time, it might like shut down anything and become like an auto pick. At the same time, it's kind of nice. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of potential for this card. Very cool. Next up, the Feral Chosen, the not safe for work card. Oh yeah, 4 mana, 3/4 human wolf from Talira with Overrun and Entomb. Grant your units Frenzy 2, and it also has Frenzy 3. So yeah, first thoughts. Even ignoring the text box, you have the Wolf Tribe, which is kind of interesting. Yeah, you could make use of this. Then again, I think a lot of wolf cards in vanilla use duelists though, and have that as their thing. But even if you end up just doing a generic wolf tribe, or even you get this opens up the potential for a frenzy tribe, tribal, maybe not tribal in air quotes, but yeah, yeah. Obviously the Entomb giving frenzy 2 to your team as well as frenzy 3 and a 4 mana 3/4 overrun is, I think, is pretty solid attack. I can never judge frenzy correctly. But yeah, it's just like this absolute menace, and once it dies, it makes the rest of your team smaller menaces. This, oh yeah, something I did think about is in a cube where you just have a bunch of silly units, like a 1/1 with overrun. This would definitely enable some of the sillier stuff, such as the one with overrun, or like the 0x with deadly or life bond or exemplar if you're going super spicy. This just enables some really silly stuff in like silly cubes, as well as being good in aggro, which is probably where this is gonna fit. Like a top end in aggro. Changes you can make to the card. You can make it cheaper if you want to work even better with aggro. Obviously, reduce stats, numbers. So I don't know, something that's like potent and threatening. I kind of like that it's a large lad. Honestly, even like a mid tier like cube, I would not be surprised if you'd have to actually increase the cost while keeping the stats similar or slightly bigger or smaller. In case like if your cube doesn't have many ways to answer it, which probably isn't too common, but it's definitely a thing to look out for. But yeah, it's a neat little aggro tool, especially in any. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Especially in any cubes with tokens. Yeah, cool. Very nice. Up next is Flowing Chosen. 4 mana, 4/3 undead, human undead, sorry, from Talira. With when you play a unit, trigger its Entomb. So where you put it, I don't know. It says right on the card Entomb, but I don't know if you'd ever want you played Entomb. Any deck that cares about Entombs. It's quite good at it. It's very interesting. There's a Hearthstone card that's a 3/4 that basically does the same thing. But hey, it's cool in that game, Hearthstone, and hey, you actually get to play this in cubes. So I consider this upside. For 4 mana 3/4, 4/3. Sorry. Human undead. Something looking at the art is I kind of want to make this mind and just have this interesting or bizarre mind undead deck in like a cube. This is actually kind of intriguing, and I kind of want to do that now in some future cube if I ever get the opportunity. Obviously, as the neutral, and it's able to fit anywhere right now, and I'm sure a lot of people are like, "Hey, yo, why not spirit and why not mind? That makes no sense." Or, it's a cube. Have fun. But yeah. Yeah, it's interesting though. Yeah, it just obviously undead synergies that have a decent chunk of entomb, or if you just want to make an entomb deck outright. Yeah, it seems kind of cool. Potential changes obviously make it cheaper and more expensive based on cube speed or where you want this to fit in any cubes, like lineup or mana curve. Something interesting I thought about is both in one for each direction. You could have it go up the mana curve and just have it like trigger the entomb multiple times. And that could be like really interesting. It's like this neat little value engine. I mean, it already is kind of one, but just like do things, but more. Actually, kind of sounds fun. So yeah, that's an option. Or if you want to get spicy, keep it the same mana cost and do that. But also something you probably could do is drop the mana cost down and have it like kill the units. I don't know the flavor, so I don't know. Chocolate JTAD. Maybe they'll like it, maybe they won't. I don't know. I wouldn't push that to main game though. This is fine as is main game. I assume. I'm a casual. How would I know? Anyhow, yeah, this is just a neat card. This week is just nothing but a bunch of neat cards. Anyhow, am I good with this card? Yeah, just if your cube has a ton of Entomb and you want Entomb to be a deck, this is a card to put in it. I assume you don't have a replacement, but honestly, this is probably fine. You can probably just copy paste this in whatever cube you have. All right, perfectly fine card of the way. Let's go with Gentle Chosen. So gentle. A 6 mana 7/2 human horror from Talira. It has Entomb. Play the top 5 cost unit from your deck. All right, this is a lad. This is a unit. I love this dude. Um, not in that way, you filthy degenerates. Anyhow, um, yeah, 6 mana 7/2. That just normally that'd be like a ha dies to removal, but in this case, like, yeah, what are you gonna do? Point removal at it? That's what you want. That's what it wants you to do. It doesn't care how it dies. It just gets a free drop out of whoever does something to it. I mean, I don't think you'd remove this yourself, unless you like somehow find a way to give it duelist or let its stats be useful. But I don't think you care where your opponent removes this, unless it's like banish based removal. At the same time, yeah, they have banish based removal. Congrats. 6 drops. It dies to removal. Congratulations. Uh, Once this gets in combat, this is kind of just disgusting, as it should be. It's a 6 drop, but if you build your deck around having interesting 5 drops, you can also have this be like a weird tutor effect. I don't like it, but I don't hate it. It's kind of neat. Maybe I do like it. Yeah. I mean, something interesting you could do is like the obvious thing is drop its mana cost down to 4. Actually drop its mana cost down to 5. I don't even think you change the stats. I think it's just a funny, powerful cube card. So like, haha, there's more. I kind of do that now. Yeah, no, this is a nice card. You could throw in Overrun on this if you wanted, but I kind of like that it's personally like that it's a big beater. But if you want it to be like an absolute threat, yeah, just throw Overrun on it. But as is, it's also just fine. It's like, what are you gonna do? Attack into it? Block it? I mean, yeah, you could block with a 2 drop, but they're getting a 5 drop, and you just lost your 2 drop. Congratulations. No, this card's great. It's a 6 drop. It's not like game threatening, but it's like what you gonna do. I love that in cards. Alright, anyhow, Grim Chosen. I just realized I have not read this yet, so I'm reading it now. 6 mana, 6/4, human ooze from Talira. It has rebound and untargetable, and it has entomb, destroy a random enemy with the highest attack. Okay. Okay. Alright, let's get the obvious out of the bat. This thing is untargetable for better and for worse. And do that entomb, I will say it is probably both for better and for worse. It's kind of like this neat, fair removal piece that just answers the board. This is obviously a card. If your cube is slow enough to play this, it'll want to play this. Anyone will want to play this. Actually, it being neutral might actually be a problem for cubes. I'm not against moving this to strength if you want to like not make it so this is a pack one, pick one every time. Assuming your cube. I mean, then again, if you're putting the cube, you probably have ways to answer it, or if you somehow found a way to answer it, or if sorry, words are hard to come by. Um, or there are other cards in the cube of similar power levels. But yeah, this is gonna be kind of hard to fit in any cube, as it's either gonna be too fast for you not to care about having a six drop, even if it is good, or it's gonna be so slow this thing's just gonna dominate. But the nice part is there's a ton of valves on this that you can just switch around and hey yo, this card's better for your cube environment. Of course, you could always just keep it as is and honestly just have it be this absolute metas to deal with. Although I'm still not against just moving this to strength. Yeah. Yeah, if you want this to be an if you want to push strength on your cube, move this to strength. Would I play this as 7 as an off affinity card? Maybe? It is a 6/4 with two keywords, one of which amazing, the other which probably good. I mean, if you're not in strength, I think you care about untargetable less. Unless you have like weird flying mind things going on. I don't know, it's a neat card. Yeah, it's just a good card. It's an absolute menace. Put this in your cube with caution. It will absolutely win games, either through getting rid of your opponent's big dumb idiot or being the big dumb idiot itself. Although as a six drop it's kinda supposed to be. Yeah, put this in your cube with caution. If I were to play this, I'd probably move it to strength. Maybe get rid of the untargetable and or rebound. But you can also just put it played as is, and it's probably gonna just mean this absolute unit. And not in the fun way, in the haha die way, which I guess is its own kind of fun. Anyhow, harsh chosen this bad boy. 5 mana 7/4. Human from Tellura. Just a human. That's new. Anyhow, it has duelist and ward. I'm not gonna say it's that's like kills things. It kills things good. Real dead. Um yeah, if you're aiming for a cube with some very simple cards, this will definitely make the cube more interesting. If you have a slower cube with like an example was the Earthen Chosen from earlier, this is also a way to be like, what you gonna do? I, Maybe not that actually, but yeah, this thing just pressures cards pretty well. Also gets pressured itself, especially from duelists. It's if you have a cube that who's very spell removal based, this might not be like a bad way to be like, hey yo, creature decks, here's a buddy, have fun, remove all the flyers and the dorks. I mean, the unfortunate thing though is like this thing stares down a four attack. If the opponent's most threatening unit is a four attack unit, like, eh, I guess you can just hit one of the three or two or one attack units. I kind of want. All right, with those aside, I kind of want this to have vigilant. Again, might not fit with the flavor. I don't know. Ask J Todd. Um, I'm so sorry for the pronunciations. I kind of just pronounce as I go. Yeah. Vigilant can make an interesting, more powerful cube, and we cube this. Actually, it might just be fine. Like, yeah, it's an absolute unit 5 drop, but it's also pretty easily answered. Yeah, it threatens things, but it also gets threatened itself. And unlike Mr. 6/4 kill the highest attack thing from before, this thing kind of just does it fairly. Yeah, if you're just looking for a 5 drop, put in your cube neutral, that's just like, it's good, it probably won't break anything, but it'll also keep other things in check. Yeah, it's just a fine, safe include, probably. Probably. Then again, if your cube's like low on units, I think just this being a 7 drop, oh sorry, a 7 powered 5 drop with ward is just gonna be like, yeah, action deck, what you gonna do? Hit it? Actually, if it's an action deck, it probably has cheap ways to get rid of the ward, but hey, it's still nice to think about. It's a neat card, as all these cards are. Yeah. Maniacal Chosen, oh, this bad boy. What to do with you? Anyhow, it's a 4 mana 2/5 human arcanist from Tellura. It has Entomb. When an enemy unit kills this, well, if an enemy unit kills this, sorry, deal 4 damage to it. If an enemy unit didn't kill this, you gain 1 max mana. This is a card. This has been the most interesting card that I had to look at least that I've read, which is most of them, but I'm guessing not all of them. But yeah, 2/4. It doesn't really fit. I mean, you can put it in a self-sacrifice deck, like a sack decks or self-sacrifice decks, but I don't know if you want to kill your 4-drop for 1 max mana. It's a bit of a threat on board, but I don't know if your opponent cares about taking 2. It can be defensive, which is kind of nice. This is 2/5, but it only gets the extra power once it dies. Well, power in air quotes. Um, it's an interesting card. I don't know if it has many homes anywhere, but as I thought about with this card, it doesn't have many homes, but any number of minor adjustments that you think that the cube designer thinks is fitting makes this go from like a I don't know what to do with this card to the perfect card. It's kind of great. That's actually kind of the genius point of this. Is that because it doesn't have an obvious home, you can kind of make its home anywhere, either by deck building or by just changing numbers, I guess, if you want to put it in a cube and change things up a little bit. Yeah. Like, obviously, you can reduce the cost, you can increase the attack, you can increase the HP if you want to go nuts. You can change the Entomb. I don't know if I like that. Honestly, Entomb's kind of neat as is, which is, again, kind of cool, because it's like, this is a card that's like, hey, yo, mold me, change me to be what you want. But it's like, don't touch the Entomb, because the Entomb is just kind of perfect as it is. It does things. And again, it's probably actually is just fine if you just played as a 4-drop as this like super versatile unit. It just doesn't have a home, which is not amazing for higher power cubes or power cube. It's just kind of like this 4-drop you play and it does things though, which is nice. Opponent has to think twice about attacking into it. You have to think twice about attacking with it. Maybe, maybe not. I mean, block with it, I guess. Though it doesn't attack super well. I don't know, if your cube is like, if you want some anti-aggro tools in your cube, but you don't want to like push aggro off a cliff, and like Earthen Chosen, this is probably fine. And obviously, if you have sacrifice stuff, getting +1 max mana, well, I don't know if that's what you want to be doing with your 4-drops. And kill it to get +1 max mana, it's fine. I guess you could block with it and gain 1 max mana later. Yeah, it's not too bad. I guess you can't do. This isn't magic where you can just do funny trick things with it, though. So, yeah, it's unfortunate, but hey. It is a perfectly fine card. Mold it, shape it to be how you wish, or play it as is, just a generic good card. As is, cubes are kind of known to do. Yeah, Molten Chosen. 5 mana 0/5 human elemental from Tolera. With Regenerate and Entomb, create a copy of this, silence it, and give it +4 attack. Baseline, I think I'm underwhelmed. Oh, you silence it. Huh. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. It's a 0/5 regenerate, which means it just is this decent wall. But I don't know if it's decent at 5 cost. And once it dies, it just becomes a 4/5 with no other abilities. Obviously, it can trigger if you have ways to trigger Entomb without having it die in combat, which you're gonna find plenty of ways. It's a couple of cards in this week provide those options, but mm, it is a really good blocker though, and it becomes this I wouldn't say offensive presence because it's probably gonna take a while for you to trigger that Entomb unless you're doing funny things. But even then, getting a 4/5 with a 0/5 regenerate stapled attached isn't like super amazing and not exactly an amazing payoff. Then again, if you have the funny, if you kill it a bunch of times, then you just get a bunch of 4/5s. What was it? If 1/1 isn't enough, I don't know if it's a good thing to be doing with your mana, but it's a funny thing you're gonna be doing with your mana. Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, I'm only chosen in this dying multiple times. Eh. Lower power cube. Oh yeah, lower power cubes definitely love this. It's just the super interesting card that's like Halo. Hello, what you can do? Attack into this. Yeah, funny. Oh wait, it died? Okay, cool. I get a 4/5. Okay, yeah. Actually, in lower power cubes, this is super interesting. It's just this wall you can't deal with. I guess this isn't bad with equipment. You just make the front hat threatening, and the back half is just free value, I guess. Although, again, I don't know if 0/5 is where you want to be going with this. Um, but like previous cards, there's so many directions you can take this with changes that, yeah, those are fine. Yeah, it's very moldable. If you want to make this higher power, reducing mana cost, maybe getting a point or two of base attack, etc., etc. Any of the options is fine. I don't know if you need to slow this down. I don't know how low power level your cube would have to be to nerf it. If it means it's like really slow, like weaker board units, but still kind of board based, which I've surprisingly seen my fair share of cubes that are like that. Yeah, it could need to go to 6. But yeah, I think it's just fine as is. Like if you have a lower power level board based cube, this is just fine. Include if you want to bring it to a higher power cube, I'd suggest reducing the cost to like 3, because then it becomes this like wall. It's not an amazing wall because it doesn't kill units, but it's a pretty good wall. And if opponent's able to get through it, then you get rewarded with the 4/5. Again, higher power cube stuff. I would not do that in the medium or lower power cube because then it's just like this unstoppable force that becomes even more annoying once it dies. Or I guess less annoying. I don't know. It's weird. It's a fun card. Cool. Optimistic Chosen. 1 mana, 1/1 flying human elemental from Tillera. It has flying and entomb the highest cost unit in your hand costs 1 less. Um, I mean, it's a little flying 1/1 dork. Like, I don't know, it's a fine card. Um, Again, entomb stuff make this interesting as like a decent 1-drop playable option. 1-drops are also a thing that I have difficulty parsing in this game. But yeah, value's value. It's a 1 mana 1/1 that gets you more value later, 1 mana worth, assuming you have units in hand. But if you don't have units in hand, I don't think you care anyhow. Your 1/1 is not generating you. Actually, your 1/1 not generating you a ton of late game value if you somehow don't have units in hand probably isn't the worst thing. Or if the 1 mana doesn't matter. It threatens your opponent early on with a couple damage a turn. It does enable a couple heroes to get their hero ticks off. Like, oh yeah, Ash will want the. I can't believe I've forgotten about the heroes this entire time. I mean, they're all neutrals, so it's like, yeah, the entire pool of heroes are able to use this. Um, but yeah, a 1/1 Heldam is happy with this. Ash is happy with this. Bullock is also happy with this. Any of that. This is a fine aggressive card that's also able to get you some late game value. As well as also having a little bit of, I wouldn't say combo potential. It's able to help combos, but yeah. Any changes? I don't know. It's kind of unique as is. Obviously, you could increase the cost and make it like a threat at the cost of not being a 1-drop, but it's kind of nice at 1. I wonder if you could make this 0 in a super high power level cube. Could you make this a 0 cost? I don't think it needs to be that high power level of a cube, but I don't know. It's a funny thought. Like you have a super high power level cube, and yet aggro is somehow not the dominant force. Set this to 0 and be like, "Hello, aggro. You're eating well tonight." Actually, no. I think that'd just be an autoing. All right, high power level cube. Hmm. Yeah, no, this is a fine card. It has interesting implications. You're able to put it places. It's probably a cube that, not cube, a card you're able to just slap into any cube and be happy. Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Okay. Anyhow, Wise Chosen. A 3 mana 1/5 human plant from Delira. It has life bond, and when a unit damages this, reduce that unit's health to 1. I'm assuming it reduces it after damage and doesn't do like weird things where it's like, yeah, you set the HP down, but it has damage marked on it, so it's dead. I'm guessing that's not how it works. But hey, actually giving this thing deadly would be interesting. But anyhow, that aside, Oh, there was that AoE cube that I was mentioning earlier with a bunch of small units and AoEs. This could actually be super interesting in that. It's just like this, yeah, block this and it's the unit you, oh, not block, attack into this. I don't know if you'd attack with this. I guess you'd attack with it if your opponent has a bunch of fires you want to ensure the life bomb trigger. Yeah, this is, I think in any cube with a decent chunk of AoEs, or even just spell damage options to begin with, or even like one drop duelist units. Basically, if you care about reducing the unit's HP to 1, then this is a card you might look into your cube. It has potential. It being neutral means you can put it in a lot of places. I don't know if I like it being a neutral, but it's a neutral. It's neat. It allows it to be in more things. Human plant. Huh. Plant synergies? I mean, there's human synergies, but humans are like the bread and butter of existence. Who needs more humans? And the fact that plants are everywhere. Anyhow, it's just this unit that's just this defensive, interesting wall. It's like, ha ha. Damage go burr. It is neat. Every card is neat. All the cards here are neat. But yeah. Cool. This card existing is something I am honestly happy to do because it is definitely an interesting card. I don't know what cubes you'd put it in. Alright, AoE cubes, what I'm talking about. I am having a brain fart in the middle of my podcast. Oh no. Anyhow. Yeah, Life Bond. It's this pretty good wall. Put it in cubes with a lot of spell damage or AoE or just small damage in general. Yeah, alright, alright. Seems nice. Dece. Moving on, the Young Chosen, the 2-mana 2/1 human from Tellura. It has summon, trigger an ally units entomb if you don't draw a card. Okay, this thing's floor is a 2-mana 2/1 draws a card. I wonder if you're forced to trigger an entomb as long as a unit you control has an entomb. Is it easy? I have to test this in blocks, but hey, I'm trying to scrap this together in as little time as possible. It's been like 3 hours, but you know. Yeah, fine card, neat card. The floor is pretty high, or the ceiling is very high. Yeah, there's potential in this card. You have a bunch of entombs in the cube. Honestly, even if you don't have a ton of entombs, this might just be like this fine 2-mana. I mean, yeah, then it just becomes a 2-mana 2/1 draw card, and if you happen to get one of the very few entomb cards in your cube, then woo! Yeah, this is just a neat card. You do things. It, yeah. Ally unit does have to be in play, so that does make it a interesting sack deck direction. Where it's just like, yeah, you sacrifice the units, but they don't die. Actually, what I thought I'd do. A sack deck where the units don't die. Okay, I kind of want to build that now. But yeah, oh yeah, changes. Do you want to change this? I mean, there's a decent chance this might be too powerful, in which case, in any specific cube where you want this type of effect, in which case, obviously increase the numbers, especially the not the HP, the M cost. I don't think you want to increase it more than 3, though. This is definitely an effect I could see on like a 3-minute 2/2 and be like decent in a cube with potential. A slower cube. And a faster cube, I think you're just fine as is. This is just a good unit. If your cube cares about it at its high power level, it's going to be fine with this type of effect. I don't think you need to increase the numbers at all. I mean, maybe you do, but you know, cubes are different. Cubes are weird. But yeah, and that is card number 12, the Chosen cycle. A bunch of very good cards. Cards that in previous test run of this I accidentally called all bad. Sorry, J-Dad, even though you'll never hear it until now. But yeah, yeah, the card's all nice. Not a ton to say. That actually there's a bit to say. Um, all have entomb synergies and whatnot, which is actually kind of cool. I'm not the biggest fan of them all being neutral, but at the same time I kind of understand why. And if you move them cube, you can keep them neutral, and it'd be kind of cool. And also remove the neutral and make it, just this giant neutral brick of cards that you can put in any card in any deck after drafting, even in the middle of drafting. That's neat. I guess if you like an entire entomb cube, an entire cube built around a tomb. This is kind of cool. Oh yeah, I know people have talked about like a chosen tribal, but honestly, looking through the cards, I think it'd be more interesting just with like the casual synergies rather than being like, haha, you're not in tomb, your chosen units have +1 attack. I mean, you could do that. It'd be fine. Honestly, that probably wouldn't be bad for like a tutor or something like that. Some way to draw them or generate them. But I think for synergies, in my opinion, I'd just like let them be their casual selves. Obviously, your cube, your rules go nuts. Have every card in your cube be chosen and but buff all the chosen. Make all the funny chosens you want, or not, either way. But yeah. Alright, on to the cleanup step of the podcast. Any feedback you guys have will be appreciated. Although since I don't plan on putting a ton of resources into this, even though I've already put a decent chunk that more than I'd prefer anyhow by now. But yeah, I don't. I might not be able to change much. This format's kind of easy, kind of easy. It's kind of quick, kind of not. But yeah, it should be nice. It should be fun if I end up doing more of it. Also, if a card doesn't get in any future episodes of this, if I end up doing any future, sorry, if they don't get in any future weeks, but you want me to cover it for whatever reason, then yeah, feel free to contact me. I don't mind just covering cards that weren't in a what is it called, in a week. Also, if you have like a cube you want me to cover, sure, why not? I'll look into it. First impressions, etc., etc. How have I gone through this entire thing and I don't think I've said first impressions yet? Huh. Anyhow, but yeah, thank you all for listening, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. And I'm sorry for anyone who's expecting something a bit more structured. Bye bye.